Record. Welcome everybody. This is I'm Nora Herring with the Vaz+Harwood team with KW Premier Realty in Woodbury. We're here with Cheryline Vaz, Emily Strong, and Eric Pirius from the Vaz+Harwood team and Bell Bank, respectively, for the last two. I will turn the conversation over to Cheryline, Emily, and Eric, and they'll talk to us about inclusive lending and different ways we can help different types of buyers.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Emily, you look amazing in pink. Eric, you are as young and handsome as ever. You look very preppy and sweet. We can't hear you.
Hello.
Okay, now we can hear you echoing. I'm very excited about today's topic. As the whole world knows, home ownership is a huge passion topic for me, and one of the biggest, most frustrating things for me to tell a buyer who's looking to get a loan is very often I have to make the call and tell them, I'm so sorry, you can't get pre-approved because of credit, because of XYZ in your credit history, etc., etc. However, today's class, it's not even a class, it's a talk where we're going to discuss about product offerings, that lending product offerings that are available for those buyers who have low credit or a bad credit history, who need non-traditional forms of lending products to work their magic for them, and of course down payment assistance and down payment assistance programs, and of course, can a house be bought with 1% down payment? And the magical answer is yes. However, I'm talking too much because the two magicians who make all of this happen are right here. We have Emily Strong, who was formerly with Minnesota Housing, and she now leads the DEI efforts at Bell Mortgage, and she is in charge of affordable lending products. Am I correct in saying?
Yes.
Or rather,
Yes.
or it's about inclusive lending products. It's inclusive lending products. And Eric is just masterful at navigating and being hyper creative with helping people figure out how would I describe you, Eric, besides being a master on a bike.
And you are muted, Eric, currently, so you need to unmute.
Eric is simply masterful when it comes to being hyper creative at helping clients just get pre-approved. He's done this over and over again. I've had clients come to me and say, we were told we would not be able to get pre-approved for another 2-3 years. And I always just say, at least talk to Eric. Because Eric, like me, hates saying no. So
Well,
you guys
that's true.
take the floor.
That's true. And you said something came to mind, what do we do, or this is a book, and it has, or a 3-ring binder rather, and it has all 41 programs that we know of in the Twin Cities. And so you mentioned, what do we do? And we help you. This is what we help you navigate. And you might say, well, just give me the book. I can do it myself. I wouldn't wish that on anyone, because these programs, now there's some that are available everywhere all the time generally, but many others that there's some flux. They come and go. They have funding, they don't have funding. Sometimes go away, new ones come in, and that's what Emily, among other things, has brought to Bell and our customers, is that expertise she gained by working at MHFA for so long, and she's brought that over with us, and so we help you navigate this per your financial structure and the area.
Yes.
Emily, why don't you talk about, I know that Cheryline introduced you, but perhaps you could describe a little more in detail regarding, your background briefly, and then the mission currently within Bell and how that relates to buyers like for the Vaz+Harwood team, or
Yeah,
any.
absolutely. Yeah, so affordable housing is a huge passion of mine. It's something I've been doing now for over 10 years, longer than that. And at Bell, one of the things that they did that is not common with a lot of lenders is to really put a lot of resources, money, time, staff like myself into identifying ways to ensure homeownership equity for all genders and demographics here in Minnesota and in our footprint nationwide. And so I think that speaks volumes to the values that Bell has, because again, not many lenders will hire a specific individual to target the different sources of funding available nationwide, not just here in Minnesota, but nationwide, to make sure that one, we understand it, we're using it correctly, and that we're applying it to borrowers in a way that makes sense. Because I think, a lot of times borrowers can be inundated with information about, oh, you're a first time buyer, you're eligible for this and this and this and this and this, not understanding fully what those things might mean. I mean, you might be getting a loan, you might be getting a forgivable grant. And those are things that you really need your loan officer like Eric to sit down and explain to you, because it's pretty confusing. I have a good little story. I'll keep it short, I promise. But when I first bought my first home, I actually used a Minnesota housing program. And the loan officer I had was very wonderful. And for those of you who have been in the industry, it was called Home Help. And it required lead inspection. It required housing quality safety inspection. And I remember my real estate agent let me in to patch holes in the walls before we had our inspection, which is totally taboo. But I just remember I wanted that house so bad, and I ended up getting that funding. And honestly, I can't tell you how that set me off and my family in a trajectory to be very successful and to have generational wealth and to allow my family to be able to do things that we wouldn't have been able to do if we didn't take that first step buying a home. And so to have a loan officer to really guide me through that process and really help me understand it, I would have, honestly, if I tried to navigate that myself, I would have been so lost and probably would have gotten like a cease and desist trespassing order from the city of Inver Grove Police. But it's so critical to have that, because as you grow in your homeownership and you move and you see the wealth that you gain from being able to get into homeownership, it's so cool. Like, I just never thought it would happen. And so now being on the other end, where I help administer those programs and help people understand how they work and how they can contribute to your family's wealth and security and stepping into homeownership, it's just a really cool full circle. And so I feel really awesome to be working with Bell and loan officers like Eric, who understand that value and truly get these programs. They can be funky. They can be you can stack them together. You can do a lot of good with them. But if you're working with someone who's not experienced, you can be pretty disappointed. And so Eric, he's a pro. I wouldn't just say that about anyone. Eric actually knows what he's doing, and I'm very happy that I get to work with him.
Correct.
Thank you. The feeling's mutual, Emily. So Emily, what does it mean? I mean, that sounds really good, what you just said, about the mission and the values and bringing opportunity to underserved communities and building that generational wealth. I just had a conversation today with a gentleman that you introduced me to, Cheryline, and those were the words, literally the words right out of his mouth for families, but specific. And we know there's stuff available, but specifically, what makes Bell different? I mean, why? What kind of programs do we have that others don't? Like, for example, the BMF program. I know we talked about that earlier today in preparation for this, Emily.
So the Bell Yeah, Bell Moving Forward is a family of programs that we offer exclusively here at Bell. And they're really targeted, one, to low to moderate income borrowers, so borrowers entering that market, and two, borrowers of color, families of color who are looking to step into home ownership. And maybe they have thin credit, maybe they have non-traditional credit, maybe they just need a little different lens of looking at their financial situation to be able to get into home ownership. And so the Bell Moving Forward Advantage program is, like I said, an exclusive Bell program for borrowers of color who are interested in home ownership. And it's really cool because it's controlled by Bell. It's something that we created internally to really help bridge the gap of borrowers of color being able to access housing in comparison to their white counterparts. And so the cool thing about the program is that it's a 1% down. So how it works is that it's paired with the Bell down payment loan program. It allows the borrower to step into home ownership at a 1% investment of their own funds. And it's got a little bit more flexible terms as far as underwriting and credit goes compared to a standard industry product. And the reason we get to, go ahead.
Sorry, it's a conventional no MI, right?
That's right. There's no MI attached to it. It is a conventional loan program.
And for everybody
Sorry,
watching, if they're not in the loan lingo, when you say MI, mean
mortgage insurance.
Mortgage insurance. Yes, there's no mortgage insurance. Mortgage insurance is used if you put less than 20% down. So obviously 1% down is a lot less than 20, but there's no mortgage insurance, which is great. And also, Emily, you mentioned and so did you, Cheryline, non-traditional credit. And what that means is for the borrowers that have no credit, simply no credit scores, we can use non-traditional lines of credit, for example, cell phone, utility bills typically, other things too, even a health club membership. So if we get 3 of those types of those lines of credit or accounts, I guess, that can replace the traditional credit score. And you know, it's not FHA, so you have with the conventional loan is a little more viewed a little more favorably among sellers and listing agents. 1% down is achievable for many. And like you mentioned, the other, and then talk about that the underwriting part of inclusivity, Emily, and how that works, where borrowers, say one has a say a 600 score and somebody's got a 700, and how does that work, the blending of that?
Yeah, so there's actually not just the Bell Moving Forward Advantage, but we have a couple other programs internally, our Bell Home Assist, Home Ready, Home Possible, and then we work with Minnesota Housing and their programs too. And again, if you have a borrower who has maybe a 640 credit score and you have another borrower who has a 700, the price of that loan, the cost of that loan doesn't change. And so what that means is if the 640 credit score borrower is quoted I'm just making up rates here, these aren't legitimate, 6 and 7/8, the borrower at the higher end will also get that credit score.
Yeah.
And so what's nice about that is that it, again, makes it affordable for all levels of income to really step into home ownership.
Yep, that really works. I've used that program many times. It's very helpful. Also, the underwriting, just so everybody knows, the underwriting is blended too, meaning that we're going to effectively blend the scores to get an approval, whereas previously it would be the lowest common denominator, like so that's help give people a leg up as well. Yeah. So that, okay. All right. Well, thanks, Emily. And our lives at Bell as producers got a lot better and in this arena since you've arrived. And I know I've held up this book before with all 41 programs in it. And that's just Minnesota. I know you do more than that. But I can't tell you what a help that is, and to help people navigate them. I can say with confidence that, yeah, I know all the programs that you qualify for. And particularly with MHFA, MHFA is widely available. And there may be some folks listening to the, my guy, my gal, they do MHFA. Aren't the rates all? Yes, the rates are all the same. There's no, so it kind of doesn't matter what lender you go with. Yes, that's right. For rates, that's true. They just is what it is. There's no shopping for an MHFA. However, another advantage of using Bell in this case is that we are delegated, which means that MHFA has delegated authority to us to basically approve they're going to take whatever we give them. Maybe that's the wrong turn of phrase, but they're going to think of a more elegant way, but they trust us. And if we underwrite it and we send it to them, it's done. In other words, it's just us. There's no they. We don't send it into them, because most places you underwrite it and then you send it to them, and that so MHFA adds a couple of weeks. So the advantage of Bell is time, because we're delegated. We do it all in-house if we don't send it to MHFA. Also, we've got some flexibility because we have that relationship and that trust, and so we might be able to bridge a gap or to step a little further into the gray zone because of our experience in that arena. So that delegation is time and opportunity, and time can help when making an offer, right? I mean, if you need to close in 20 days, MHFA or what, no problem, we can do it.
Yeah.
And if you want to sell your lawnmower and put $700 in the bank and use part of that for down payment, we can do it. So that's part of the delegated part, where if it makes sense, we can do it.
So one of the questions I also often get are from people who are new to the country. They have the money to buy a home, they have enough for a down payment, but they because they're new to the country, they have yet to understand how the credit scoring system works. And I often get asked, and I was one of those. I didn't see Andrew was giving me that look. He gave me the side eye and rolled his eyes, but I only started building my credit score when I got into real estate, and that was technically 7 years ago. So what was Cheryline doing before that, all that time? Because I just paid in cash. I never saw the need to have a credit score. And then one day, until because of my health, I had the doctor just in fact, the doctor was surprised and just said, you need to have a credit score, because imagine what would happen if something happened to your husband. You're going to be stranded in this country without a credit score. It doesn't matter how much money you have. But very often I get people who are new and have been here for 2 years and have the same mindset as me. They want to buy a house now. And they have zero credit. And while I give them the talk of me as an example, yes, it's going to take them time, but in the meanwhile, they have the money for the down payment to buy everything now. Can you talk how that works for such people?
Definitely. So as Emily mentioned, and I, in the case where there's no credit scores, then we use, in some cases we could, well, I won't complicate things. In some cases we could use a credit score, a credit report from, say, Canada. We did that recently, okay. But that's about it. So we use alternative credit. Again, your cell phone bill, your cable bill, your gas, and if we can get 12-month payment histories, then that takes care of the credit. We use a program like the one we just mentioned, the Bell Advantage program, or Bell Moving Forward, where you don't have to have a credit score. Otherwise, Bell offers two things to help build your credit. You can go in any branch, and I can help anybody do this. And that is, there's what amounts to a credit builder loan, whereby basically you borrow $1,000, you put it in the bank, you get a 4 or 5% interest on it now, which is pretty good. And then you use that loan to pay itself back for 12 months. And that doesn't cost any money. And you get installment debt. And then concurrently, you would apply for, you don't have to apply for it, it's guaranteed, but you get a secure credit card with a low limit, say $300 or so. You buy a tank of gas and you keep making the minimum payments. Then you've got two trade lines, it's sit down half an hour, you're done. And within 3 months, you have a score. And within 6 months, you probably have a pretty good score. So that's how we start building credit. And I've done, my wife did it not too long ago, you know, because she had one credit card forever and her scores were pretty good, but not perfect.
I had to do, I did it. I did
credit.
I did the secured credit card at one
You
point.
are you are a shepherd, aren't you, Eric? Shepherding.
I am. Where's my staff? It's somewhere here.
What is your good behavior today, Boom? Talk to me about the Moving Forward program. That's that wonderful 1% down, right? Program
Yep.
that Bell just introduced, and I want you to tell anyone and everyone about it, just because that makes it so much more accessible for a larger community of people.
That's right. Emily, do you want to kind of talk about that a little bit, or?
Yeah, I think, you know, I just from a ground level for people to understand, and maybe your viewership is far more well-versed in this, but, you know, in any mortgage loan transaction, when you're buying a home, you have to put money down. And in most cases, you know, kind of the age-old thought was that it had to be 20%. 20% of the purchase price you'd have to save up before you could buy a home. Now, in today's market with our house prices, that would take a very long time. And so what's really cool is Bell has developed a 1% down program. And this is called our Bell Moving Forward Advantage. We also developed this specifically, again, for communities of color so that they could access home ownership. And really what it means is that you as the borrower are putting 1% of the total loan amount down as payment for the home, and the rest is covered by your loan through Bell Bank or loans through Bell Bank. And it's just a really great way to step into homeownership in a less expensive way. Because it just costs so dang much to buy houses these days. So this is an easy way to step into homeownership without breaking the bank and necessarily, you know, spending down maybe your life savings. Maybe you want that money to save in the bank for a rainy day, or maybe you want to buy new furniture for your new home. This loan allows you to step into home ownership, preserve some of your savings, and really use the funding from Bell Bank to get you that home that you want.
And to qualify, as far one of the family members needs to identify as a minority, isn't that correct?
Correct. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
So on the loan application, there will be boxes that borrowers can select to self-identify what their race and ethnicity are. And for borrowers to qualify for the Bell Moving Forward Advantage, at least one borrower needs to check one of those boxes if they self-identify as a minority.
There we go.
I'm very excited about that one too. And also I believe the Minnesota state government is going to make, they're coming out with an interesting program, I believe, for first generation. I'm going to butcher it up.
Yeah.
You guys know the name of
The
the
first gen. Emily, you know, yeah. Take it away, Emily.
Yeah, so out in the marketplace here in the Twin Cities, there's a Project Groundbreak, which is kind of a coalition of different lenders and Habitat for Humanity and the state that are looking at ways to make homeownership a possibility for first generation borrowers. And you might say, well, what is a first generation borrower? It really means someone whose parents or grandparents haven't owned property before. So this is really applicable to a lot of new immigrant populations who come into the United States and are buying their first home. So programs like these are actually gaining a lot of traction. The city of St. Paul has one. There's one in Roseville, Minnesota, just north of St. Paul that has one. And the state is looking at a statewide program as well with an anticipated release date probably sometime early next year. I don't think it'll be ready this year. If it is, bonus, but I'm going to say definitely buying season next year. So great time for you to get that loan and that credit card and start building your credit so that you can be eligible for some of those cool programs coming out.
And it's in order to build your credit is free and it's not scary. So if you want to build your credit, click the button, call me, whatever. It's not hard. I can help you do it. And it'll, I mean, even if you don't buy a house, it'll help everything going forward as far as, credit cards or you name it. So I know it can be daunting. I've felt that with a lot of people I talk to. There's a barrier and it kind of stays with you. You're excited, you want to go, oh, here's this cool program, but you keep waiting for the other shoe to drop, And so I try as much as I can to encourage people to to push through that and expect something good will happen. But of course, you got to have the tools. And one of those is credit. And what Bell's Credit Builder program and that secure credit card we also offer in one shot. Again, it's free and it's easy. So other than that, there's no, there's no downside.
So most people should not go to some place that's going to charge them money to fix their credit. That can be done with the relationship with like you guys for free.
That's a really good point, and it ends up happening all the time because we always pull credit every time, and I look at it every time, and we have a conversation about it. Sometimes it's short, like 780, and I had an 800. What happened? Whatever. Okay, well, A++, just or you got a 678 and you want a 680, and how do we get 2 points or 20 points or whatever the case may be? And I'll go through it and I'll say, all right, here's a low balance credit card, pay that one to 0. Here you can, this one's only $50 over the limit, pay $100 on that one. And I can give you a little roadmap to get your scores up. So to answer your question, that's a good one, Andy. That's right. The first place to start is with a lender that's willing, obviously, but to go through the credit with you to suggest how to make it better. In the case of if you've got a bunch of late payments or something's erroneous or you've kind of got a big project kind of thing where you've got to write dispute letters a couple different times, and then a credit repair specialist is advisable. In general, however, like, hey, I want to get my scores up, you're going to pay a lot of money, and it'll probably take longer than your friendly neighborhood loan officer who can just tell you how to do stuff quick, and then actually it'll show up the next month typically.
Yeah, fixing credit isn't as hard as people think it is. It's more that the system is opaque for people, and even a couple years into being in real estate, I still didn't understand it. It takes a while, and there are counterintuitive things sometimes that you need to do. Like if you pay off an entire credit card, that could drop your score, right? You'd think. So it's important that you talk to somebody who knows what they're doing. And you pay some credit repair place for that.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're at that position somehow as we speak, don't get any new stuff. Don't close any stuff. Do nothing until you talk to somebody that can. Because also one thing, just a quick aside, but a lot of if I don't know my credit is okay. Do you use Credit Karma? Yeah, all right. Pull it there, or we'll get your free annual credit, get your one free credit report online. You can do that. We get kind of a preview, right? And then before we actually pull the credit, and then we can maybe get the scores up. And then concurrently, we could be applying for some of these programs that Emily and I just mentioned. So the credit is definitely part of it, and we're a good place to start as far as getting it better.
Emily, you had something, sorry.
Yeah, no, I think the other thing that's really unique about Bell Bank Mortgage in particular is that we have so many very strong community relationships. So we partner with a lot of the different real estate associations, such as the Asian American Real Estate Association, the Hispanic Latino Real Estate Association. Locally, we've got a lot of connections with different nonprofits that provide homebuyer education and counseling for free. And so really, starting with Eric is a great place because he can get you connected with all of these different resources. So if you're not quite at the point to buy a home, but you want to get prepped, you want to get ready, if you chat with Eric, he will direct you to the right places, the right people who are not going to take advantage of you or take your money and not really do anything for you. He actually has those good connections built in. And you can't say that for every single lender. And so again, picking someone who's got good values, good resources, and knows the programs and has the relationships is so critical.
You hit a point I wanted to just make sure we don't miss really quick. That's so important. It is never too early. It's never a bad time to start this conversation. Don't wait until you're like in a better place to start talking to us or Eric, because the earlier the better. You're going to need help, and you can fix these things. If you want to achieve homeownership, you can fix these things probably on a quicker timeline than you might think. It's better if you start talking now.
And we don't judge. And I know there's just so much emotion wrapped up in this that it's easy to just kind of keep sticking your head in the sand. And I don't want to go through, you don't want to feel the pain of rejection or, there's really no such thing as rejection, because as long as you're functioning and you have a job, maybe not today or maybe not even this year, but certainly by next year, we can get it all figured out no matter how bad it is. So if you want a house, you can get a house.
Correct.
You know what I mean? One thing I will mention, a quick aside, because Emily covered a number of different spaces that we've got connections in that can help in these various communities. However, we do not have an option for Islamic lending. I know that there's some very unique characteristics there. I know there are some local options. I've seen, I don't know, it seems like I've seen a storefront or something, but that's, that's a little outside of what we do. Maybe the Vaz+Harwood team, who also have a lot of connections in the community, obviously, can help with that.
Can I ask a question? Do you do anything with the Native community lending? Because that's a little bit different too, right? And it's run through the government. Does Bell do that, or is that out of your?
So I will say generically, we will work with anyone. It doesn't matter who you are, we will work with you.
No, but it requires that membership card, right? Remember the tribal membership card?
So there is a specific program for Native American lending. It's called the Section 184 HUD program. And Bell is actually working on becoming an approved lender for that at this moment. And so we're looking forward to becoming one of those approved lenders. And yes, you're totally right. To be eligible for that particular program, you do need to be a card-carrying member of a recognized tribe. But I'm really excited for when we get approved, because we'll splash that everywhere. We'll have a big announcement, because that's a really cool program, and it would be available statewide, not just on reservations here in the state of Minnesota and the Dakotas and Wisconsin. So it'll be really neat to be able to offer that.
That's great. And Bob, the biggest reasons I also love Bell is not only are you guys so flexible and creative, you are headquartered right here in Minnesota. So you get to know the inner workings of a lot of stuff when it comes to the lending part of things, and you can help a lot of you can help a lot of clients more.
It's true. Like I said,
by more I mean creatively.
There's no they. There's only us. We do everything. We don't send anything anywhere. And we're right next door. We live where you live, and that's a personal touch. I think that's maybe underappreciated somewhat these days. Yes, I'm old.
One thing, I don't want to get us too far off a tangent too, but one thing I find that's very helpful for homeowners who are, or potential homeowners who are trying to achieve the dream of home ownership, just know that you don't have to own this house for a long time. If you want to own it for 2 years, minimum, you could do that too. This could be a stepping stone to a better house. Sometimes people feel
True.
like, oh, all the houses I'm going to get aren't that great. Well, it's better to get into something, live there for a couple years, 3 years, 5 years, and then you can turn it around. You'll have all that equity, tax deductions. You'll be in such a better place financially. And then you have options. You could rent that out. You could sell it and get the equity and move up to more of your dream house if you want to. But just get into something. I don't care if it's a townhouse or something that needs a little work or whatever. It's better than renting.
It is.
Correct.
The interest rate on renting is 100%. You get nothing back. Maybe a calendar. That's it.
That's right.
Some pens.
Yeah.
Thank you for all you guys do and for patiently always taking my calls, especially poor Eric. There's a reason why I call Eric my work husband. He said he has my number above Anne's. He won't pick up Anne, but he'll pick mine up. And I said, please do not say that loudly. Anne will kill me. But
Yeah, I hope she's
Eric takes-
not watching.
yeah.
I almost hit a tree the other day talking to you on my cell phone while I was biking.
Oh,
I might have to get some kind of Bluetooth speaker or something.
But
story.
definitely, on the Vaz+Harwood team and at Bell, we're all trying to get people into houses. Any level,
Yep.
entry level need help. First time home ownership. We're all just trying to help you figure it out how to get a house.
It's all about mindset. And since this class was aimed mostly at realtors, keep in mind, guys, that when lenders get who you partner with in business matters. And as realtors, it's our job to make home ownership access. We are not just door openers. Our job is to strategize, figure out a plan, and 99% of the time, you're helping a client who has completely given up hope redevelop their mindset. As a realtor, you become their de facto home ownership coach, and then the lender comes in, and the lender is more like the workout coach, because that's actual trying to get your credit up to that's hard work. But that's where the lender comes in, and who you do your business, who do you partner with in business matters, and that's one of the reasons we enjoy partnering with Eric, with Emily. They are always very upfront, very honest, and above all, they're very compassionate, gentle, and kind. And Jessica too. I'm so Jessica couldn't join us, but Jessica is Eric's right-hand woman. He's surrounded by women. Yes.
She's a Swiss Army knife, a force of nature, and the biggest part ever. She takes in dogs that have been. I just the stuff she does just blows my mind. But anyway, it shows in her work as well. Thank you for that compliment.
She's very sweet.
Big heart.
Big. Thank you guys so much.
You're
Nora,
welcome.
do you
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Latasha, do you have any questions?
Or Tia's here too.
Tia's there. I don't see. Yeah, hi. Latasha Johnson. Hi, Tiana.
And if you don't have any questions, that's totally okay. When we send out the recording, we'll send out contact information for Eric and Emily as well.
Good.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Emily.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vaz+Harwood. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.